It's okay. You're not the smart one. Every family has a decorative member, my dad sighed. 2 days later, they smirked. We gave Grandma's education trust to your sister so you wouldn't waste it. I just smiled. A week later, Grandma found out. The next morning, everyone was whispering about her lawyer visit. My name is Aaron. I'm 27 years old, and in my family, I've always been the extra piece no one knew what to do with. Not the favorite, not the rebel, just the placeholder. My younger sister, Leah, has been the golden child since the day she was born. If I got A+, it was, why didn't you push harder? If she scraped AC, it was, she's under pressure. Give her some grace. That was the rhythm of our house. One kid showered with excuses and applause. The other handed criticism disguised as advice. I thought I had learned to live with it. I had my own one-bedroom apartment, a modest job in IT, and just enough savings to not panic when rent was due. I told myself that as long as I could build something of my own outside of their orbit, I'd be okay. Still, every Sunday I drove across town for dinner because some small stubborn part of me kept hoping I'd matter to them. 2 Sundays ago, I was sitting at the dining table after a meal that I mostly cooked, listening to Leah talk about her new plans to maybe take a gap year from grad school. My mom beamed. My dad nodded like she had just solved a world crisis. Then Dad leaned back in his chair, gave me that half smirk he uses when he thinks he's being funny, and said the line that burned straight through me. It's okay. You're not the smart one. Every family has a decorative member. The table laughed. Leah giggled behind her wineglass. Mom swatted Dad's arm lightly as if he was just being silly. I felt the heat rise in my face but forced a smile because if I didn't, they'd call me sensitive. I picked up my glass of water, hoping no one noticed the way my hand shook. 2 days later, they called me back to the house. I thought maybe, stupidly, that there would be an apology. Instead, I found them gathered in the living room with teacups and cookies like it was some celebration. Dad spoke first. Your grandma's education trust, we've decided it's better if it goes to Leah. You wouldn't know what to do with it. We didn't want you to waste it. Leah grinned. Mom looked satisfied, like a deal had just been closed. My chest was tight, but I just smiled back. Not wide. Not happy. Just enough to keep the peace. A week later, I got a text from Grandma herself. Come see me tomorrow. Don't mention anything to your parents. When I arrived at her place, she was already dressed like she had somewhere important to go. Before I could even sit down, she said calmly, they really thought I wouldn't find out. My lawyer will explain it better. The next morning, the family group chat went strangely quiet. When I showed up to work and checked my phone at lunch, it was filled with messages from cousins. What happened? Why is your mom panicking? And your grandma came to Sunday lunch with a lawyer? That's when I realized this wasn't going to be just another dinner table insult. Growing up, I learned early what role I was supposed to play. My parents never said it outright, but their actions spoke louder than any words. When Leah was 5, she got a brand new bike for her birthday. I was 8, and mine had a broken chain I'd been trying to fix with duct tape. Dad laughed when he saw me messing with it. Don't waste your time, Aaron. You'll never be good with tools. But when Leah asked for help, he spent the whole afternoon adjusting the seat and teaching her how to ride. At school, I was the kid with average sneakers, the one who brought a lunch packed in reused grocery bags while Leah strutted around with the latest backpack and snacks with cartoon logos. When I asked about it, Mom would say, she's a girl, Aaron. She needs nice things. You'll understand one day. I never did. Money was always at the center of it. They didn't have a lot, but whatever they had seemed to funnel toward Leah. Soccer camps, art classes, new clothes for every season. Me? I got lectures about independence. By high school, I had a part-time job bagging groceries. Every dollar went into a savings jar in my closet. Once I bought myself a used laptop for $200. Dad saw it and shook his head. Why waste your money on junk? Leah's birthday's coming up. You could have pitched in for something nice. I remember staring at him thinking, why is my money mine only when it's for her? College was the biggest blow. Grandma had started an education trust years earlier for both of us, or at least that's what I thought. When it came time for me to apply, my parents said the trust wasn't enough and encouraged me to take loans. I worked my way through juggling classes with shifts at a call center. Meanwhile, Leah got her tuition miraculously covered. At the time, I didn't ask questions. I told myself maybe scholarships had worked out for her. Only later would I learn the truth. The little humiliations piled up. One Thanksgiving, I brought wine I saved for, and Mom muttered, cheap, while setting it aside. Leah walked in late with nothing, and they praised her for making the effort to come. When I got promoted at work, Dad shrugged. Don't get cocky. They can replace you tomorrow. Leah got a summer internship making coffee in an office downtown, and they threw a dinner in her honor. Once, I saved 4 months to take everyone out to a restaurant. Halfway through, Dad leaned over and said, don't go broke trying to impress us. But the following week, Leah dragged them to an expensive spa weekend she couldn't afford. And Dad proudly bragged to relatives about it. I kept swallowing it because I thought maybe that was just family. Maybe every family had unspoken hierarchies. I told myself if I just worked harder, earned more, gave more, maybe one day they'd finally look at me with something other than criticism. Instead, they wanted more. 2 months ago, Dad called me out of the blue. "Aaron, your sister's car lease is up. She's been under so much stress. You could help with a down payment for a new one." I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. "Dad, I'm still paying my own loans. I don't even have a car myself." He didn't laugh back. "Don't be selfish. Leah's the one carrying the family name. She needs stability." I hung up with my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. That night, Leah texted me, "Heard you said no. Wow. Family means nothing to you." And the cycle continued. Every family dinner turned into subtle pressure. Mom would sigh dramatically, talking about Leah's difficult commute. Dad would bring up my good salary with an edge. Leah would smile sweetly and ask if I'd looked at car dealerships recently. The worst was when Grandma started asking questions. She's sharp for her age, always paying attention. At one Sunday dinner, she asked me directly, "Aaron, didn't I set up something for your education years ago? Did it help at all?" The table went silent. My parents exchanged a glance. Leah cleared her throat and changed the subject. I nodded quickly and muttered something about loans. That was the moment a light bulb went off in my head. Something wasn't right. So when they sat me down 2 weeks later with their smug smiles and told me they had given Grandma's trust entirely to Leah, so I wouldn't waste it, it all clicked. Every debt, every loan, every night I worked double shifts while Leah coasted. Grandma's money had been covering her the whole time, and they thought I wouldn't find out. The problem was, I didn't even have the energy to fight them in that moment. I'd grown so used to being the background that my instinct was to stay quiet, smile, and nod. But inside, something shifted. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the fact that they had lied to me, to Grandma, to themselves. The next day, Grandma's text came through. The lawyer visit, the whispered panic, and I realized this was the beginning of something much bigger than just me being overlooked at a dinner table. The breaking point came faster than I expected. Grandma didn't waste time when she realized what had happened. She called for a family meeting the following Sunday. When Grandma says family meeting, it's not optional. Everyone shows up. I walked into my parents' house that afternoon and the atmosphere was thick. Leah was perched on the couch, scrolling her phone like she had nothing to do with anything. Mom hovered near the kitchen doorway, her face tight, eyes darting. Dad sat in his recliner like a king waiting for his subjects to beg forgiveness. And then there was Grandma seated at the dining table with a neat folder in front of her. "Sit down, Aaron," she said softly. I did. She opened the folder and pulled out a stack of papers. "I met with my lawyer on Friday. I wanted everything clear." Dad's face flushed. "Mother, this isn't necessary. We already explained." "You explained nothing." She cut him off. Her voice wasn't loud, but it sliced the air sharper than any shout. "You told Aaron the trust was yours to redirect. It wasn't. It was in his name as much as Leah's." Leah shifted uncomfortably. "Grandma, I just thought you thought wrong." Grandma snapped. The silence that followed was brutal. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. "Look, Aaron doesn't need it. He's doing fine. Leah has real expenses. Grad school, rent, transportation. Aaron would waste it." My jaw tightened, but I didn't speak yet. Grandma turned to me. "Aaron, is that true? Would you waste it?" All eyes were on me. The old version of myself wanted to shrug and keep the peace, but something inside me finally broke open. "No," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I've been paying student loans for years, working late shifts, taking buses across town. Every dollar I've saved, I earned the hard way. If anyone was wasting money, it wasn't me." Leah scoffed. "Oh, please, you act like you're some martyr. You've always been bitter." I looked at her directly for the first time in weeks. "Bitter? Leah, you had a fully covered education while I went into debt. You got a car lease while I biked to work in the rain, and you knew exactly where that money came from." Her smirk faltered. Dad leaned forward. "Watch your tone. That money was used responsibly. Your sister's future is the family's future." "You're just decorative," I interrupted. My voice rose, but it wasn't anger. It was clarity. "That's what you said, Dad, a decorative member. Do you know how many times I've replayed that in my head the past 2 weeks?" He went silent. I kept going. "This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. You took what wasn't yours. You lied to me. You lied to Grandma. And you expect me to smile and keep pretending I'm okay being the backup plan while Leah gets everything handed to her." Mom finally spoke, her voice dripping with manipulation. "Aaron, don't be dramatic. We did what we thought was best. Families make sacrifices." "Yeah," I said coldly. "And somehow, I'm always the sacrifice. The room was dead quiet. I felt my pulse hammering in my ears, but I didn't stop. I'm not giving you another dime. I'm not covering Leah's car. I'm not co-signing loans. I'm not bailing anyone out. I've carried this family's guilt long enough. Leah's voice cracked, angry but shaky. You're selfish. You'd let me drown while you sit on your little paycheck acting superior. I shook my head. I'd let you face reality for once in your life. Grandma slid the papers across the table toward me. The trust is being corrected. Half was always yours, Aaron. It'll take some time, but it will be transferred properly. Your parents don't control it anymore. Dad stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. We've supported him his whole life. He owes us. No. I cut in. My voice calm this time. I don't owe you anything. Not anymore. I pushed my chair back and stood. My hands weren't shaking now. For the first time, I felt like I was taller than all of them, even while they sat staring at me with a mix of shock and anger. I grabbed my jacket from the chair. I'm done playing the decorative role. From now on, you'll have to find someone else to dismiss. No one said a word as I walked out. The door clicked shut behind me, but the silence inside me was loud, solid, final. For the first time in 27 years, I had drawn a line they couldn't erase. The hours after that meeting felt strange. I sat in my apartment with the TV on mute, staring at my phone as the notifications piled up. 12 missed calls from Mom, 8 from Dad, 6 from Leah, and one text that read only, "You're tearing this family apart." It was the same phrase they'd used my whole life whenever I didn't fall in line. I almost laughed. This time though, it didn't sting. It sounded like background noise. By the next morning, the group chat was blowing up. Relatives I barely spoke to were chiming in. Maybe you should reconsider, Aaron. Your sister has so much potential. Don't ruin it with pride. Not a single person mentioned the trust. Not one person said, I'm sorry they lied to you. The manipulation was running on autopilot, but Grandma was different. She called me that evening, her voice calm. Don't answer them. The lawyer has it under control. You did nothing wrong. Hearing her say that felt like the first deep breath I'd taken in years. Meanwhile, my parents doubled down. Dad left me a voicemail. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? Leah is devastated. Fix this, Aaron. Fix it now. I didn't call back. Leah sent me a picture of herself crying with the caption, "Hope you're happy." I stared at it for a long time, then put my phone face down. Days turned into a week. Every morning, I'd wake up to a handful of voicemails and long paragraphs from Mom about family, tradition, and sacrifice. I didn't reply. By the second week, the messages slowed. By the third, the silence finally came. And with that silence came something else. Peace. I noticed how much lighter my days felt. I had time to cook breakfast without dreading the next guilt trip call. I went to the gym after work and actually enjoyed it. I started sleeping better. It was like cutting that cord had freed me from a weight I didn't know I was still carrying. At work, I poured myself into projects. For the first time, I wasn't dragging the baggage of my parents' constant disapproval with me. My boss noticed. You've been sharp lately, he said one afternoon. Focused, keep it up. The old me would have brushed it off, but this time I let myself smile. Still, the fallout rippled through extended family. At a cousin's birthday party, an aunt cornered me. I don't know what happened, Aaron, but your parents are really hurt. They say you've changed. I have, I said simply. Then I excused myself to refill my drink because the truth was I had changed. Or maybe I'd finally become who I was supposed to be all along. Someone who could stand without constantly apologizing for existing. But my parents didn't let go easily. 2 weeks after the meeting, Dad showed up unannounced at my apartment. He knocked once, then started pounding until I opened the door. You're really going to cut us off over money? He barked. I leaned against the frame, keeping my voice even. It's not about money. It's about respect. He scoffed. Respect? We fed you, clothed you, gave you a roof. I cut him off, and you gave Leah everything else. I don't owe you my silence anymore. For the first time, I saw it. The flicker of panic behind his anger. He couldn't control me anymore, and he hated it. He left muttering about ungrateful children, but I closed the door with steady hands. No guilt this time, just clarity. Meanwhile, Leah tried her own tactics. She texted late at night. You're my brother. You're supposed to protect me. How can you side with Grandma? Then the next day she posted selfies at brunch with captions like strong people don't let others bring them down. The performance was exhausting, but I refused to play my role in it anymore. The turning point came one Sunday evening. Usually I'd sit waiting for the inevitable call from Mom, reminding me of dinner, lecturing me for skipping that night. There was nothing, just quiet. I made pasta, watched a movie, and realized I was finally free from their script, and that freedom showed in ways I didn't expect. I laughed more at work, I reconnected with a friend I hadn't seen in months because my weekends were always hijacked by family obligations. I even started sketching again, something I dropped years ago because Dad called it pointless doodling. The most telling moment came a month later. Leah posted a long dramatic status on Facebook about betrayal and selfish siblings who turned their backs on family. She never named me, but everyone knew. I didn't reply, didn't like, didn't even open the comments. Instead, I went for a walk around my neighborhood, earbuds in, music low. The air felt crisp, and for once, my head was quiet. No voices telling me I was less. No guilt weighing me down. Just me, finally free to choose what mattered. And in that quiet, I realized the storm wasn't mine anymore. It's been 3 months since that Sunday when Grandma pulled out the lawyer papers and everything shifted. In those 3 months, my phone has gone from constant buzzing to almost complete silence. The last message I got from Leah was a one-liner. "One day you'll regret this." I didn't reply. At first, the quiet felt unnatural, like I'd forgotten something important. For most of my life, I'd lived on edge waiting for the next demand, the next guilt trip, the next dig about not being enough. Without it, the air around me felt empty. But slowly, that emptiness turned into space. Space I could fill with things that mattered. I built routines that were mine alone. Morning walks before work, cooking dinner without rushing to be somewhere else. Weekends spent with friends who liked me for me, not because they needed something. I started putting money aside, not for anyone else, not for family obligations, but for myself, for a future I get to define. The trust money is still in process of being corrected. Grandma checks in every week just to remind me that it's coming. Funny thing is, it doesn't even feel like the main point anymore. Yes, it will help me finally pay off some loans, maybe even put down a deposit for a better place. But the real shift isn't in my bank account. It's in my mind. I don't wake up with that tight knot in my stomach, wondering how they'll belittle me today. I don't rehearse excuses for why I can't hand over more of my paycheck. I don't let their voices echo louder than my own. And when I think about what comes next, I hear my own voice clearly. I will never allow myself to be the sacrifice again. If my parents call tomorrow begging for help, the answer will be no. If Leah posts another essay about betrayal, I'll scroll past without flinching. If an aunt corners me at a party with questions, I'll smile and say, "That's between me and them." Because this isn't about revenge. It never was. It's about closure. It's about boundaries. It's about finally stepping out of the role they wrote for me and choosing my own. I don't know if they'll ever change. Maybe they'll keep telling the story in a way that makes me the villain. Maybe Leah will go on believing she was robbed of something she was owed. Maybe Mom and Dad will keep insisting they sacrificed everything for me. But none of that is mine to carry anymore. What's mine is the quiet apartment where I finally feel at home. The paycheck I earned and get to keep. The laughter I share with people who don't see me as decorative, but as real. And the steady knowledge deep in my chest that I walked away and I didn't crumble. Lately, I've been writing down small goals in a notebook, things I never made space for before. Travel to a new city this year. Learn a new skill. Maybe adopt a dog. They're small things, but they're mine. Every checkmark feels like reclaiming a little piece of myself that was buried under years of obligation. Sometimes I catch myself wondering what they're saying about me now. If the family dinners are still filled with digs in my absence. If Leah is still complaining about how unfair life is, and then I realize it doesn't matter. Their voices don't reach me anymore. Their judgment doesn't define me. For the first time, I'm not waiting for approval. I'm not hoping for fairness. I'm not begging for recognition. For the first time, I'm simply living. And that, finally, is enough.